Escape from Tarkov in an epic Dungeons & Dragons fantasy setting, 4 different classes, and that of former WoW developers, because we were able to spend a few hours in the fantasy extraction game in advance, and even survive a few rounds. Legacy Steel and Sorcery is currently in early access on Steam and promises no microtransactions or pay-to-win mechanics. So we can new cards and new classes, such as a Paladin and new Mage classes, are to follow soon. But what does the game currently offer? At launch, we have 4 classes to choose from: the Warrior, the Hunter, the Rook, and the Priest. Each class plays completely differently and has advantages and disadvantages. The Warrior, a strong hand-to-hand combat similar to a Barbarian, packs a punch, but is relatively immobile. A Hunter, a much more agile class, specialized in ranged combat, but quite fragile. With the Rook, we try to stay unrecognized and attack from the shadows, and with the Priest, we have the only current healer class that can heal other players. So we collect resources, some loot in each round, and try to bring this to the exit at the end, like in an extraction shooter. Alternatively, we die on the way and lose everything we carry with us, except for our little secret stash, which can expand in the course of the game. So we can not only meet a wide variety of NPC enemies, with some game mechanics reminiscent of a Dark Souls, but of course also other players. And you can start either in a group or solo. A highlight is, of course, the combat system, which plays completely actively, similar to a shooter. This is how we actively attack, parry switches, and use our abilities.
For today, I forge my legacy.
First, we choose one of the 4 classes currently available at launch and create a character which we can gradually level up and expand with skill points. The basic skills differ depending on the selected class and, of course, the playability.
Okay.
There is no extensive character modification at the start of the game. That is, with the Warrior and Rook we have 2 male characters, and with the Priest and the Huntress we have 2 female characters. For the first start, a tutorial is recommended, which bites us into the game mechanics on its own tutorial map. In this way, we learn to loot, fight, use our skills, and exchange the items accordingly. This makes us much stronger through various items found or looted, and of course we level up with each successful fight. The UI remains clear here. In the lower left corner we have our display of our health, mana and adrenaline consumption, or our stamina. In the right area, we can see the 4 equipable abilities, as well as usable items or potions. For PC gamers, we have the option of playing with a mouse and keyboard or even with a gamepad. The controls are pleasantly direct, and we also have the possibility to dodge or parry enemy attacks appropriately. And so, especially in the tutorial, we should also make it to the extraction point, although we take objects found here with us, of course. This is how we collect experience points, especially with bonus points we should survive a match. However, we also get experience points if we unfortunately don't quite make it through a round and don't get to the exit. Over the further course of the game, we unlock fixed different abilities, which are distributed among the slots, and via the talent tree, we can still influence the direction in which we specialize, for example, for a healer focus or more damage. In addition, we have the opportunity to gradually expand our lodge, i.e. our home, and unlock various items and possibilities here. And of course, there are different merchants where we can craft and shop, as well as fulfill different missions with corresponding rewards. There is a complete quest system for this, whereby in addition to the normal campaign quest, we can also complete quests for the various NPCs in the city and various better items for purchase. Crafting, similar to an escape from the Tarkov or other extraction shooters. To start a new round, there is currently the map Greenwood, with some new maps to follow soon. Here we have the option to move around either solo or together with friends. For matchmaking, an attempt is made to have groups play with each other, or to have individual players compete against each other. So we mainly meet NPCs, but also other players again and again. It is up to you whether you are hostile to them or even make common cause. The NPC enemies don't have a direct designation of what level they have or how strong they are, but you should go by the optics. Simple skeletons, wolves, or even goblins are relatively unproblematic at first, but can quickly pose a challenge, especially in larger numbers. And enemies that already look like this should be avoided at the beginning as a beginner, because the extraction principle also applies here. Everything we collect during a round and bring to the staircase we can keep. However, if we fail in this attempt, everything we brought into the round, with the exception of our secret stash, is completely lost and lootable for other players. Just so the core essence of an extracture game. Basically, the different classes play pleasantly differently. The warrior, who is strongly reminiscent of a barbarian, strikes with his axe, has the opportunity to pull against it, and offers the opportunity to take a beating. Each class uses different resources, for example in this case not mana, but an aggression or rage bar. In addition, we find a wide variety of resources such as wood, various metals or other items in the game world, which we can use for crafting or for trading at a merchant, and thus continue to grow further and stronger. Speaking of enemies, which you should perhaps leave alone, especially at the beginning, larger enemies have extreme damage output and should not be tackled alone. Later, when you are stronger or on the road together with other players, you can then tackle such opponents. We have about 30 minutes per round, and here we have to get to the extraction point to secure our items. If you don't make it within the time, you'll also be left behind and lose your items. And especially in the last few meters, it can happen again and again that unforeseen incidents lead to a quick end. Of course, this also includes other players, whom he also meets again and again in the game world. Therefore, you should always keep an eye out for threats lurking nearby. Because looting a player just before the exit is of course a lucrative opportunity. In the area of balancing, the huntress as well as the rogue seemed much stronger to us than, for example, the warrior or the priestess. The huntress in particular is very agile very quickly, can dodge well and has an effective ranged weapon with the bow. In addition, she can slow down the enemies with traps, which made the passages here particularly easy. So for shooter players, this is our first recommendation if you start in Legacy Steel and Sorcery. Especially if you increase the damage on headshots. Here, enemies go down relatively quickly, and you have the opportunity to fight stronger enemies right at the beginning. Basically, we liked the combat system for each class. This plays pleasantly fresh, fast and direct. We don't have the feeling of experiencing lag or even letting go of various abilities at the touch of a button. Here we really have to aim and hit, as well as use the block function or dodge. Furthermore, each class has different special abilities, such as a flying eagle for the huntress, a moving bomb of the priestess, and so on. However, these abilities are not unlimited and should therefore be chosen tactically. If we suffer injuries, we can fall back on bandages or potions or even objects found in the game world, such as various foods or potions. One of the main limiting factors, especially at the beginning, is of course the limited carrying capacity. So we always have to choose specifically which objects we want to take outside and what might be particularly worthwhile for us.
This makes playing Legacy Steel and Sorcery motivating in the long term, and it always invites you to start a new round. However, there is always the risk of quickly losing items like your fancy new bow or your armor in the next round. Because if you find yourself in a hopeless situation and don't think about escaping early on, it can be quickly over for you. Therefore, we recommend that you bring a friend with you if possible, or several, since you can put up to 3 friends in a group. You can revive other players as soon as they are down and still have a chance of an extraction. But let's take a quick look at the last class that we haven't introduced yet, namely the Rogue. This one plays in the shadows, of course, and has the ability to become invisible for a short time, causing NPC opponents to leave him alone and then attack from the shadows. But, like the Huntress, the Rogue doesn't take many hits, but deals out a lot of damage. But what do you think of Legacy, Steel and Sorcery? Let us know in the comments, on Discord or in our daily Twitch livestreams. And as soon as there's new content for the game, well, of course we introduce this new area with an update video. So I say goodbye until next time, good loot and thanks for watching!